sent a cold email before? Anybody? Oh, wow. Like almost all of you. Awesome. And how many of you have sent a cold email with the expectation that writing it and sending it would be easy? Anybody? Okay, a couple of you. Cool. How many of you sent a cold email and it wasn't easy writing it or sending it? Aha. Okay, cool. So the expectation, ooh, maybe we good? Okay, cool. Maybe the sound system needs coffee, who knows? So that expectation and that tendency to like write a cold email and send it using the same tactics and techniques that you use to send normal emails or onboarding emails or an email to your team or your assistant or even your wife or your significant other, that idea that you need to use those same techniques to write a cold email is actually a lie. And you've been sold this fairy tale, and I've been part of it, that sending and writing cold emails is easy. Like, there's a ton of shares on this article that I wrote, and I'm part of that group that's been selling you this lie. But the truth is that cold emails are a different beast. And there's a lot of hard work that goes into writing one that converts. And today I'm going to show you how to actually write a cold email that converts. I'm going to show you the bad stuff, the hard stuff, the stuff that nobody talks about, the stuff that's behind the fairy tale glitter, because that's the stuff that actually makes a difference. Because you see, there is a lot of hard work, and there's truth behind the glitter. So first of all, who am I to tell you about cold emails? Well, it was 4 years ago. I was working as a paralegal in a law firm, and I was going to trials and helping my attorneys. And I realized I quit my job, came back to my job. They reeled me back in, and I realized I am really not a good employee. So I ended up quitting to chase my dream of running my own business, right? Like you guys. But I didn't want to use any of that network, any of those referrals or people that I had met in the law firm world. And I also didn't have any budget, so I couldn't run ads. What I did have was a skill of email writing, so I hit it hard. And I started sending cold emails. Within about 4 months, my business had grown 1,400%. And I'd signed one $20,000 client from sending just one cold email. Along the way, I've been fortunate to connect with some amazing people because of cold emails, like Joanna Wiebe. If you guys were here for the Growth Conference, you probably heard her talk. I've connected with Sujan Patel of Mailshake, and even Rob. I realized the other night that I'd sent him a cold email like a year and a half ago. So cold emails do work, and today I'm going to show you how to write one. And we're actually going to write an email together, an actual cold sales email. Okay, so how many of you guys have been to Costco? Okay, cool. How many of you guys have been to Costco on the days where they're handing out those free products, the samples? Yep. My toddler, he's 3. He makes me hit like every single one. So we get a lot of them. Have you ever wondered why they only hand out one sample per little booth? Okay, so Sheena Iyengar, she's a professor of business at Columbia University. She's the reason why Costco only hands out one sample per booth. A few years back, she went to a grocery store to conduct a study. She laid out a display of like 24 jams, and then after a couple hours for people to sample, after a couple hours, she swapped them out for a display of 6 jams. And at the end of her time at the grocery store, she measured how many people converted or bought jam out of the people who sampled the jams. Out of that big display of 24, only 3% of the people who sampled actually bought a jar. But out of that smaller little display of 6 jams, 30. That's 1 in 3 people who sampled bought a jar of jam. I need more coffee. So keep this study in the back of your head as we kind of go through this talk. But really, what does jam have to do with emails? So the first step in writing in this 3-part strategy to write a converting cold email is you have to be clear. Your email has to be clear. You have to let your reader know why it is you're emailing them. And it sounds so simple, right? Be clear. But really, it's not. And you've probably had this problem if, actually last week, my husband and I were gonna go and get lunch. We get in the car, I'm driving to Olive Garden. I'm like, so what are you gonna order at Olive Garden? He's like, we're not going to Olive Garden, we're gonna go get pizza. I was like, were you not there like 15 minutes ago when we were talking about lunch? It's hard to be clear, even in just conversation with the people that you see and know every day. But whenever you're unclear in your email, you're actually putting up roadblocks to prevent your reader from saying yes. And any sort of doubt or uncertainty or question like, what does she mean by marketing? What does she mean by sales? What does saving time look like? Like, are you gonna save me like an hour a day? You're gonna save me like 30 hours a week? Like, does that mean like $3,000 in my pocket? Like, what does that mean? Those are all questions, and those are all roadblocks in your reader's mind that prevent them from saying yes when you're unclear. Okay, so that cold sales email that I promised we'd write. This is actually based on a cold sales email that I wrote for a client. It got a 33% uplift in positive replies. That was the conversion we were after. And I swapped out the names to protect privacy, so you might see a familiar face here. This is Leslie Knope of the Parks and Rec Department. Anybody watch that show? Cool, okay. Love that show. So she's a good representation of who we were cold emailing. She's into landscape, she's into community, she's into parks. So we'll get right into it. Okay, first off, subject line, Pawnee Parks Department. Save 20 to 30% on your next project. Boom. She knows exactly why we're emailing. We're being very clear. We're talking about the Pawnee Parks Department, her place of work. We're talking about how she can be better at her job. And we're putting specific numbers in there to help her envision it. We're not being general, like, save a good deal of money on your next project. That's not very specific. We're being specific. Hi, Leslie. Love what you did with Morningstar. Opening up with a compliment is a killer way to start a cold email. And the more specific you can be, the better it warms up your audience. And suddenly, like, we're friends. Oh, I like you. You like me. This is cool. Landscape is how people can use space to engage with something. It's not just about plants or hardscape, it's how they all fit together. Again, we're being very clear. We're explaining what landscape looks like, but this is not our view. This is not my view of landscape. This is not my client's view of landscape. This is Leslie's view of landscape. We're helping her see that we understand her point of view, and we're being very clear about it. We're not saying landscape is, putting up some trees and calling it good. We're being specific. Okay, so what about if you're not writing a cold sales email? What about then? Here's an actual cold email that I got from Benjamin at Active Campaign, and he was asking me to contribute to an article he was writing. And he's being very clear about opening with a compliment. Again, warm me up. Why not? It works. And then he moves on to explain why he's emailing me. Why should I care? He's answering that question in my head, what's in it for me? And it's a universal question. I was talking about this in my roundtables yesterday, so if you were there, this sounds familiar. You need to answer that question in your reader's head, and the easiest way to do that is to be clear and tell them. And then he goes on, and he explains why he's emailing, and then he asks what he wants me to do. He does his ask, right? The only critique that I would have about this email is the meaty double-stuffed chalupa. It's in like the middle paragraph. That really confused me, to be honest with you. I was like, are we talking about lunch? Are you asking me to go get lunch? Suddenly I'm hungry. Maybe like a taco does sound good for lunch. So if he had said, I'm putting together an ultimate roundup or the ultimate, amazing article on, email subject lines, that kind of thing, I'd have a better idea in my head of what he's asking me to do and how I fit in to like his whole grand scheme of things. And that's actually why it took me like a week to reply to him, because I got really confused and then distracted, and then I walked away. So again, be clear, that's the first strategy. And I saw a couple of you taking pictures. That's totally cool. Please take pictures. But I did put together all of these email examples and some plug-and-play templates based on these emails into this resource for you. So if you go to this link and grab it, it's right there for you. Okay, so the second step of this strategy is micro yeses. And what this means is we're going to go back to high school for a minute. You remember those essays that your teacher used to have you write? Yeah, hypothesis, back up your points, paragraph by paragraph, repeat your hypothesis. Yeah, ringing any bells? You guys still with me? Cool. Okay, so that is in essence what you're doing with a cold email, only you're not starting off with a hypothesis. Likely, you're starting off with a compliment, because we've seen it works really well. But you need each line, each sentence in your email to have your email reader nodding along with you. So you need them to be buying into the arguments that you're making and helping them nod along, because this sets the stage for them to say yes at the end of the email, where you're making that ask, and it helps them to say yes because they've been nodding along. And anytime that they say no, suddenly you've lost them. They've hit delete, moving on to the next email, maybe social media. They're gone. So let's see what this looks like in the email that we're writing to Leslie. So now we're getting into the meat of the email. Builders have a financial background. They don't understand how landscapes go together. This is all Leslie's problem. She's nodding along with me. If I was to say to you right now, hey, do you guys need more coffee, a new drink, some, exercise, some sunshine? You'd be like, yeah, I do actually. Help me wake up. It's a late night last night. That's what you're looking for in your cold email reader, for them to be nodding with you. And that's what Leslie's doing, because we are reflecting her problem back to her to show her that we understand. And then we finally introduce ourselves. But it's a really quick introduction. And how we describe what we do is still in terms of her problem. So we're still driving for that micro yes of, we're helping you solve your problem. We help landscape architects answer that question and how you can save money and look pretty cool and keep an eye on your budget, save 20, 30%, and put in a really strong system, 2x stronger. So Leslie is primed. We've set the stage nicely for her to say yes at the end. All right, so what does this look like in an email that's different, like an outreach email to validate your idea? So I got this email from Etienne at Get Highlights, and it is fantastic. Oh my gosh. So he starts off with a compliment. Again, I like him right off the bat. I want to say yes. I think my LinkedIn description is pretty stellar too. Thank you. And then he explains why he's writing, and he ties it back to me. So already, I optimize emails. Yeah, I'm with you. I want to hear more. I could maybe help you. I'm okay with that. And he's not looking to sell anything, so he's alleviating the risk. He's making me feel better, like, because I'm not really looking to buy anything, thanks. And then he explains, like, email conversion copy is your expertise. And I'm like, hell yeah, it is, actually. And he wants to get my advice. And he sets it up so each line has that micro yes built in so that when he finally asks, would you have time for a quick chat? I say, yeah, actually I do. Let's set it up. And I replied to him right then and there. The final goal in this strategy, the final step in this strategy is that your email has to have one goal. So in other words, there's one action that you want your reader to take. I see a lot of emails that they're like, hey, go to this podcast, listen to my new podcast, check out my new blog, check out the new PR release, and by the way, our new launch is coming up. Get on the wait list. The reader's like, what do you want me to do? I did this not very well at the beginning. I was sending cold emails littered with questions. Usually the question kind of indicates the goal or the action you want them to take, because it creates like that open loop where you got to get the itch scratched by clicking on the link and seeing the answer, that kind of thing, or hitting reply and saying, yeah, actually, I have that problem. Please help me out. But in the beginning, I was asking my cold email readers, like, oh, hey, how was your weekend? Hey, I saw you have this cute dog and you posted the picture on Twitter. And, oh my gosh, he's so cute. Like, what's his name? And, oh, I saw you live in Indianapolis. How's the weather? And then I'd say, hey, let's get on a call. And they were like, what do you want me to do? This way? That way? Over here? Down there? Didn't work so well. I didn't get any conversions. So your email needs to have one goal to make it super easy for your reader to take that action. And again, going back to step number 1, be clear. And step number 2, set the stage for that big yes. So here's what it looks like in the email that we're writing to Leslie. Would you have time for a 15-minute phone call? We're being very clear in our ask. We're saying it's 15 minutes. I'm not going to take up, half an hour. I'm not going to take up an hour. She knows how it's going to be conducted, phone call. I'm not going to be asking you for a coffee date where you have to drive and get in your car and plan all this extra time. It's not going to be like a Zoom web conference call where you have to get all pretty, change out of your jammies, wash your face. She knows exactly what to expect, so we're being very clear, and it's one goal. So if she doesn't reply, we know there's a problem in our ask. That one goal makes it super easy to optimize your emails. All right, so what does this look like in a different kind of cold outreach email? This is a customer interview email that I usually use for conducting my own client research. A lot like what Liana was talking about yesterday. You've got to talk to your customers. Just swipe the words out of their mouth. It helps a lot in writing copy. And it's my favorite way to get the messaging and really cut down my writing time, let's be honest. So here, anybody notice I actually have 2 questions in this email, which seems like I'm breaking my own rule, right? Your question should be your goal. So it kind of looks like I have 2 goals in this email. Actually, I don't. The first question is a micro yes disguised as a question. So I'm assuming they're going to say yes to me. I'm assuming the yes in that first question. Would you be willing to chat with me? I've helped them see why they should chat with me. And now this is just a polite way, almost an out, if they took it, don't think that they will, of me giving them an out and saying, and asking their permission, would you chat with me? But I'm assuming the yes. And my real goal is get them on a phone call so I can talk to them. So, in conclusion, your outreach email needs to hit 3 strategies. You need to be clear. You need to make sure that the words that you're using are clear. And the easiest way to do this and make sure you're being clear is to read the email out loud or have someone else who's not as familiar with your business read the email. I use my mom because she doesn't quite understand how I make money online, so she's a good one. And then ask them, do you know, like, what do I want you to do with this? What's the next step? And see what they say. If they're like, then maybe you have a problem with the clarity. And then the second one is you need to get those micro yeses and make sure that you're building in, setting the stage, helping them to say yes at the end where it really matters and where you need them to say yes. And the last thing is you need to have one goal or one action that you want your reader to take. Not 5 like I used to do, just one. And be clear about what that looks like to help them get past that uncertainty or the fear of taking the next step. Again, I put together a resource. It's here at this link. Yeah, I want to leave you with one idea, which is every fairy tale has a nugget of truth buried inside of it. And the nugget of truth here is I've seen cold emails work so well in my own business and for my clients' businesses. The truth is that you do have to put in some hard work, but if you follow the strategy I laid out for you, your emails will be better than you expected. Thank you.
Hey, Laura, thank you for the presentation. That was really well executed, really polished, and I really appreciate the content from it, so thank you so much. This question might seem a bit skeptical, and I hope we're all in a safe space, and I don't mean this as any, take it for what it's worth. When I read some of your emails or some of your strategies or your tactics, it comes off as a bit aggressive to me. And I wonder if you ever got that sense yourself, or if you ever had any pushback from people about it, or if maybe I'm just wide of the mark.
That's cool. Thanks, Jacob. Can I ask what parts are aggressive?
Yeah.
I'm curious.
The thing that compelled the aspect of your email that compelled me to ask this question was the last email where you said, do you have a time to chat? Here are 2 particular hour slots where I presume that you will look at your calendar and confirm that my calendar is appropriate for you. So to me, because I've been in this position, and I'm like, I've heard people say, click on my Calendly link and select a time on my schedule that works for you, which actually, when I think about it, when I try to be honest with it, it's like, that's kind of a slap in the face. That's saying, my calendar is more important than yours. Why don't you go do some work for me so that I can pick your brains?
Yeah.
Which, isn't the worst thing that we can do to a person to ask for some of their time, but it does seem aggressive to me. So I wonder if you feel comfortable dismissing that out of hand, or if maybe, I don't know. All right.
There's your answer. Actually,
I withdraw my time.
I've heard that question a lot. A lot of people have that question. It popped up in my first workshop. Anybody who was there yesterday with me? Yep. And we talked a lot about it. And there is a strategy behind that, which is it's a bit of a micro yes. I'm definitely assuming that they're going to say yes, but I'm also helping them over the hurdle of looking at their calendar, because who here hates scheduling, first off? Yep, me too. Okay, so we all hate scheduling. So I'm helping them by looking at their calendar, and I'm giving them specific times because I'm assuming that they're going to say yes just right off the bat. That might be cocky, that might be aggressive. Take it where you want. But I'm also assuming that they're going to look at those times and those dates that I suggested, and if it doesn't work, then they're going to tell me and maybe suggest other dates and times. And I've had this happen where I've suggested specific dates and times, and they're like, that doesn't work for me, I'm busy. But how about next Wednesday at 10 a.m.? And I'm like, cool, I got a meeting. Bam. So you can test it with your audience and see if that works. My problem with the Calendly link is that suddenly I'm making you do my scheduling. And I hate that feeling. Like, I don't want to schedule. So if I'm suggesting dates and times, then all of a sudden we're kind of on the same playing field where I'm looking at my calendar. I did a little legwork to make it a little bit easier for you by suggesting dates and times. And I'm kind of expecting the same in return, that you can afford me a little bit of time to look at your calendar. And now we're doing the same thing. And does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
So, quick feedback on that.
Yeah.
When I read your email, and I saw the word "would,"
Yeah.
I thought that was not aggressive enough.
Oh, really? What would you think?
I
What
would
you
just say,
put?
"Are you available?
Are you?
Are you?" So
There
I
you
mean,
go.
I have a different reaction than him. So what I've sent thousands of cold emails.
Okay.
When
Yeah.
the question, the first line with the compliment. If I'm sending so many, and often these people I don't know them at all.
Mm-hmm.
What's the easy way to get that? Like if this person is completely unknown to me, they are a decision maker or someone to get to a decision maker at a business that is one that I'm targeting in an industry. Any hints to help with that first line?
Yeah, so in that case, I would recommend doing a little bit more research into who you're cold emailing and looking like quite a bit of research, and you're not going to like that, but because it does take time. But what you're looking for are themes between each of the people that you're cold emailing, so that you can kind of make generalized statements about them. Kind of like if you think about the email we were writing to Leslie, how we were talking about landscape and how we were reflecting back what she thinks about landscape. If you can find themes about the people that you're emailing and say like, boy, it must be like really hard to work with such a high pressured person, and maybe have to be on the go, and kind of empathize a little bit and show them that you understand what a hard spot they're in. I don't know if you guys ever do this, but I do this a lot with customer service reps, especially like credit card companies when I'm calling to like maybe get a late fee reversed. Like, be a person, be human, show, like chat them up. Like, I've totally used my kid as an excuse for maybe not paying a credit card on time. Like, if you guys have toddlers, whoo, yeah. So I asked the customer service rep, like, do you have kids? Can you relate? And that will help you figure out what to say in that first line as kind of an opening, because really what you want to do is like warm them up and get them to like you. But you first got to understand, like, what are the challenges that this person's probably facing that you're emailing to get them to warm up. Make sense? Cool.
Hi, Laura. My
Hey.
name's Jason.
Hi, Jason.
My question is somewhat related to the last question.
Okay,
But
cool.
how do you balance, or do you focus on personalizing some of the emails versus the bulk copy? And where do you fall in that perspective?
Tell me what you mean by personalization first. real quick.
More individual, like
Like names? Like using names and company names?
even reading each individual's LinkedIn thing. Like one thing I've done in the past,
Yeah.
which is a lot of legwork, but it's converted really highly, is build a spreadsheet with a column that is the personalized text.
Okay.
And then I look up everyone's LinkedIn or their website and write one sentence there, and then I put it into Mailshake with the
Yeah.
with the replacements there. And it's a lot more legwork. Do you think that's worth it? What do you think? I mean, am I better off saving the time and sending bulk emails? Where do you fall?
That's an awesome question, like caught between a rock and a hard spot, really. I would say always go for the personalization. It's always going to convert better, like you found. And if you feel like you're using a lot of time, I've had clients who actually use VAs and show them your process, teach them, maybe use like Loom videos to like walk them step by step, screen share, invest a little upfront time to show them how you're doing it, and then set them off and let them run with it. That will work really well. And then like you really shouldn't be doing all that kind of admin legwork because your genius lies somewhere else. So as soon as you can hand that task off, you're better off for it. But personalization is always going to convert better, because if you think about the cold emails that you get in your inbox, they're all crap. All of them. Dear sir or madam, we are an SEO firm who would like to get you into top ranking spot in Google. So the bar is set really low, which is good for us, but you do have to put a little bit of personalization in it to help it feel warm. So it's like an acquaintance or a colleague of a colleague emailing versus like, I'm a stranger, right? Make sense? Cool.
Hey, Laura, what's
Hey.
up, girl?
Hey.
Hey, I have a question. So I'm looking at your emails,
Yeah.
and I'm snapping pictures anyway.
Cool. Go for it.
My confusion is because I'm getting a lot of intel from everywhere, from
Oh, yeah.
podcasts and blogs and everything. I'm looking at the length of your email. So
Yeah.
I noticed that a lot of times within the MicroConf community, that it's a long sell, like a long sell page and long emails, and then at the same time, I'm trying to sell to sales folks, sales reps, and also founders.
Okay.
So when I hear information from salespeople, it's like it's all about short emails. Like I've been practicing and trying to get my emails down to like 3-line sentences.
Okay.
So I'm confused as in, like I see how much information you can relay with the length of your email, but I'm like, how can I relay that amount of information in like 3 sentences? Because I'm noticing that depending on the segment, if it's a long email, they're not going to reply
Right.
back or even open, maybe. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. If you don't mind sharing, can you tell me how well those cold emails that you're sending, the short ones, are doing?
So either way, I suck.
Okay.
So I can't even lie.
That's
because I
fair.
don't have a sale. So, but I gotten more opens with the short. I mean, how can I say it? I get opens with, because I tried to have, with my subject line, I try to have the name and 3 words. And I try
Okay.
to have a verb in,
Okay.
in the subject line.
Cool.
So since doing that, I got way more opens.
Okay.
Stop even measuring that. But with the short emails, I do get repeat opens.
Okay. So,
But I don't get the reply. So I'm trying to like,
and that's what you're after. That's the action you want
yeah,
your
that's
reader
the
to take.
action.
Okay.
Tell me something because I'm broke. I just need something.
Okay. So, because your emails are getting opened, that means keep your subject line. Because your subject line is doing its job. It's getting them open. That's the only job that it's supposed to do. It doesn't have to do anything else. But if your email isn't getting open, then nobody can take the action that you want it to take. So, first of all, you're doing a great job with that. Keep the subject line. But if nobody's doing the action that you want them to take, likely it's because maybe you're being confusing. Maybe short isn't what they need. Maybe they need a little bit more help to cross the finish line. Maybe you got to go over and give them a hand. And I would encourage you to test out longer emails. Like I hear all the time, like, your emails are so long. But then I get replies, and you guys saw, like, I included other examples of other people's cold emails, and they weren't short, 3-4 paragraphs. So I would encourage you to test out longer emails, see if they work.
Okay.
They might.
And people don't trip because you're asking for 15 minutes. Because I even drop it to 5 minutes, like, you know.
See, try that out too. Test that out. Like, you really won't know. The winning in cold emails comes from the testing. Like, I literally spent 4 months, like every single day, sending cold emails in the beginning, and I was getting nothing. It was like sending stuff out in a black void, and there's not even like a burp in reply, like nothing. So take that as a learning opportunity. Try something else, experiment, be willing to fail a little bit, because really, right now, honestly, like, it's not like you're getting any clients off the emails, so there's no harm in trying.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say, like, try something else. Try like a longer email. See if you can help them get to that yes. Give them some more reasons to say yes. Yeah, good question.